It was 3:42 a.m. in Los Angeles, and the city was asleep. The streets around the Staples Center were empty, silent, lifeless. Inside the building, one light was still on. Just one. On the far end of the practice court, Kobe Bryant was drenched in sweat, alone, shooting jumpers into the dark. No cameras, no teammates, no applause. This was not training. This was something else entirely. Security staff had already done their final walkthrough. The arena was scheduled to close hours ago, yet Kobe Bryant refused to leave. Not because anyone told him to stay, not because a coach demanded it. He stayed because walking out felt like surrender. What happened earlier that night planted a thought in his mind that would not let him rest. Just hours before, Kobe had walked off the court after one of the worst shooting performances of his career. The box score told a brutal story, miss after miss. A crowd that once adored him now murmured with doubt. Analysts would later call it just a bad game. Kobe Bryant knew better. This was a warning. In the locker room, his teammates spoke quietly, avoiding eye contact. Some tried to reassure him. Others said nothing at all. Kobe sat in front of his locker, staring at the floor, replaying every possession in his head. He wasn't thinking about defense or effort. He was thinking about something far more dangerous: hesitation. Hesitation was unacceptable to Kobe Bryant. In his mind, hesitation meant weakness. Weakness meant vulnerability. And vulnerability had a cost in the NBA. That night he realized something unsettling. He was no longer playing purely on instinct. He was thinking too much. And thinking, at the highest level, could get you replaced. As the team bus pulled away from the arena, Kobe stayed behind. He told staff he needed time. No one argued. They had seen this before. What they didn't know was that this night was different. This wasn't about getting extra shots up. This was about rebuilding something inside him that had begun to crack. The gym was silent except for the echo of the ball hitting hardwood. Each shot followed the same ritual: catch, pivot, rise, release. Misses were not ignored. Every miss triggered another adjustment: foot placement, wrist angle, balance. Kobe was not practicing to get better tomorrow. He was fixing a problem before it became permanent. Fatigue set in quickly. His legs burned. His shoulders tightened. The rational decision would have been to stop. Recovery mattered. Sleep mattered. But Kobe Bryant had reached a conclusion that terrified him more than exhaustion. If he left the gym feeling unfinished, the doubt would follow him home. At 4:27 a.m., his shooting percentage finally began to climb. Not dramatically, not magically, just enough. Enough to silence the voice questioning whether he still belonged at the top. But the night was not over. Because what Kobe was really fighting wasn't his jumper. It was the fear of decline. This moment would never appear in highlight reels. No statistic would capture it. Yet this was the night Kobe Bryant quietly made a decision about the rest of his career. A decision that would shape how he trained, how he competed, and how far he was willing to go. But to understand why this night mattered, his story had to go back much further. Long before that empty gym in Los Angeles, Kobe Bryant learned to be alone. As a child, he lived in Italy while his father played professional basketball overseas. He didn't speak the language at first. He didn't belong. Basketball became his only constant, a place where effort mattered more than accent or background. In Italian gyms, Kobe trained against older players who showed no mercy. He was pushed, mocked, ignored. There were no crowds, no scouts, no praise, just cold gyms and long hours. That environment taught him something crucial early on. Comfort was dangerous, and improvement only came through discomfort. When Kobe returned to the United States as a teenager, he was already different. Teammates noticed it immediately. He didn't joke during warm-ups. He didn't cut corners in drills. While others counted minutes, Kobe counted repetitions. It wasn't intensity for show. It was preparation for survival. At 17, Kobe entered the NBA straight out of high school. The league welcomed him with physicality and skepticism. Veterans tested him. Coaches limited him. Media questioned him. Every missed shot became a headline. Every mistake felt amplified. Kobe absorbed it all quietly, filing away every slight. Early success came fast, but so did pressure. Expectations rose before his foundation fully set. Kobe began to understand a harsh truth: talent alone would never protect him. In a league built to replace stars quickly, longevity belonged to those willing to outwork inevitability. That realization planted a dangerous idea in his mind. Normal training was no longer enough. Team practices ended too early. Off days felt wasteful. While others recovered, Kobe worried. Recovery without improvement felt like stagnation, and stagnation felt like the beginning of the end. By his early 20s, Kobe's routine had quietly separated him from everyone else. He trained when the building was empty. He studied film alone. He tracked his own failures obsessively. Teammates admired him, but few followed him. The cost was isolation, and Kobe accepted it willingly. Yet even with championships and recognition, doubt never disappeared. It evolved. Instead of asking if he belonged, Kobe began asking how long he could stay ahead. Younger players arrived stronger, faster, fearless. The margin for error shrank every season. That pressure culminated in moments like the night at Staples Center. A bad performance wasn't just a bad game. To Kobe Bryant, it was evidence. Evidence that if he slowed down even slightly, the league would move past him without hesitation. So when the arena emptied and the lights dimmed, Kobe wasn't chasing perfection. He was defending his future. Every shot taken in silence was a refusal to accept decline. And that refusal would soon evolve into a mindset the world would come to know by a single name. The term Mamba Mentality did not exist yet. There was no slogan, no brand, no mythology. What existed was a pattern. Late nights, early mornings, relentless repetition. Kobe Bryant was slowly building a system designed to eliminate hesitation. Every action had to become automatic, instinctive, unquestioned. To Kobe, confidence was not a feeling. It was a byproduct of preparation. If he hesitated during a game, it meant he had failed somewhere in training. That belief left no room for shortcuts. Each practice session became a test. Either he passed it, or he stayed longer. Teammates began to notice the change. Kobe spoke less, smiled less. He was not angry, he was focused. While others bonded through conversation, Kobe bonded through silence. He wasn't isolating himself out of arrogance. He was protecting his concentration from distraction. Coaches respected his work ethic, but some worried about the cost. Sleep deprivation, physical strain, emotional distance. Kobe listened politely and continued anyway. In his mind, the real danger wasn't overworking. It was complacency. And complacency was far more common. The NBA was evolving rapidly, faster pace, younger stars, new systems. Kobe understood that reputation could not keep him relevant, only adaptation could, and adaptation required sacrifice. Nights like the one at Staples Center became routine, not exceptions. With each season, his standards grew harsher. A win was not enough. A good performance was not enough. Improvement had to be measurable. If something worked once, it had to work again under pressure. If it failed, it was dissected immediately. This mindset began to create friction. Some teammates felt judged. Others felt pushed beyond comfort. Kobe did not adjust. He believed leadership meant setting a standard, not negotiating one. Those who followed would benefit. Those who didn't would fall behind. Criticism followed him closely. Analysts labeled him obsessive, selfish, difficult. Kobe never publicly responded. He understood something many misunderstood. The price of being different was misunderstanding, and he had already accepted that cost. The night he refused to leave the gym wasn't dramatic in the moment. No speech, no declaration, just repetition and silence. But that night reinforced a principle Kobe would carry forward. Work ends only when doubt is eliminated. That principle would soon be tested under far greater pressure. Championships, rivalries, injuries, and public scrutiny awaited him. And each challenge would trace back to this invisible decision. To stay when leaving would have been easier. As Kobe Bryant's standards rose, the distance between him and his teammates widened. Practices became tense. Mistakes were met with silence or sharp looks. For Kobe, errors were lessons to be corrected immediately. For others, the pressure felt constant, exhausting, and personal. Some players thrived under his intensity. Others quietly resented it. They saw a teammate who never relaxed, never let moments pass, never accepted good enough. What Kobe saw was something different. A team that would collapse under pressure unless someone forced them higher. The coaching staff often stood between two worlds. They valued Kobe's discipline, but feared its impact on morale. Meetings grew longer. Conversations became cautious. Kobe listened, nodded, and returned to the gym. Compromise did not interest him. Results did. Media narratives began to shift. Praise turned into critique. Stories focused less on championships and more on chemistry. Headlines questioned whether Kobe's approach was sustainable. He did not correct them. He understood that public opinion followed success, not process. Inside the locker room, alliances formed and dissolved. Some players avoided him altogether. Others challenged him openly. Kobe responded the same way every time. With work, early arrivals, late departures, silent consistency. The isolation intensified, but Kobe did not interpret it as loneliness. To him it was clarity. Fewer voices meant fewer distractions. In the absence of approval, he found focus. In the absence of comfort, he found purpose. Games became psychological battles as much as physical ones. Kobe tested limits, his own first, then everyone else's. Missed shots no longer shook him. Pressure sharpened him. The gym at night had taught him how to stay calm when everything was loud. Yet, beneath the discipline, a question lingered. Could one player carry this burden alone? Could relentless standards eventually break what they were meant to strengthen? Kobe never asked these questions out loud. He answered them through repetition. The night he refused to leave the gym had become a template. Whenever doubt appeared, he returned to that logic. Stay longer, work harder, eliminate uncertainty. It was not sustainable for everyone. But Kobe was not trying to be everyone. Soon, circumstances would force his mindset into the harshest spotlight yet. A stage where intensity alone would not be enough. Where leadership, trust, and sacrifice would collide. And where Kobe Bryant's refusal to compromise would be tested beyond training halls. The pressure intensified when expectations became unavoidable. Playoff basketball exposed everything. Fatigue, trust, chemistry, ego. Kobe Bryant entered these moments prepared physically, but the real challenge was mental. Every possession felt heavier. Every decision carried consequences beyond the scoreboard. In high-stakes games, hesitation punished teams instantly. Kobe recognized the patterns immediately. Missed rotations, late passes, second guesses. He responded the only way he knew how, by taking responsibility. More shots, more control, more burden. Critics interpreted this as selfishness. Teammates felt conflicted. Some wanted freedom, others wanted guidance. Kobe provided certainty instead. He believed clarity, even if harsh, was better than confusion. In chaos, someone had to decide. He accepted that role without apology. The memory of the empty gym followed him onto the court. When legs burned late in games, he remembered standing alone at 4 a.m. When crowds grew hostile, he remembered silence. Pressure no longer surprised him. He had rehearsed it alone. But success did not erase tension. Wins covered fractures temporarily. Losses exposed them immediately. Every defeat reopened the same debate. Was Kobe's approach elevating the team or isolating it? The answer shifted depending on the outcome. Inside Kobe's mind, the equation remained simple. Preparation reduced doubt. Doubt reduced hesitation. Hesitation lost games. The formula did not account for emotions. It did not account for comfort. It accounted only for results. As seasons passed, the physical toll became undeniable. Injuries accumulated. Recovery slowed. Yet Kobe refused to adjust his standards. If anything, they intensified. He believed time was the true opponent, and it could not be negotiated with. Moments of quiet reflection were rare, but they existed. Late nights, empty gyms, ice baths. Kobe wondered if the cost was worth it. The question never lingered long. He had already committed. Turning back would invalidate everything. The night he refused to leave the gym had become a reference point, a private contract with himself. Whenever doubt surfaced, he returned mentally to that moment, alone, unwatched, uncelebrated, certain. What followed would define how history remembered him, not just as a scorer or champion, but as something harder to categorize, a player who chose obsession over balance, and accepted whatever consequences followed. As the seasons unfolded, the consequences of Kobe Bryant's mindset became impossible to ignore. His body carried the marks of relentless commitment, fingers taped, knees swollen, muscles tightened beyond comfort, yet he never framed pain as sacrifice. To him, pain was confirmation that he was still pushing forward. Injuries slowed him, but never stopped him. When doctors advised caution, Kobe listened carefully and returned to the court unchanged. Adjusting his standards felt more dangerous than playing hurt. Rest created space for doubt, and doubt, once invited, rarely left quietly. Teammates observed the toll with mixed reactions. Some admired his refusal to bend. Others questioned whether the price was too high. Kobe did not argue either side. He believed everyone chose their limits. His simply happened to be further away. Public perception remained divided. To some, he was the embodiment of discipline. To others, a warning against obsession. Kobe never corrected the narrative. He understood that legacy was not built by explanation, but by consistency over time. The night he refused to leave the gym resurfaced often in his memory, not as pride, but as responsibility. Once he proved to himself how far he could go, there was no returning to moderation. He had crossed a line few dared to approach. Victories validated the approach, losses hardened it. Every setback reinforced the same conclusion. If failure existed, it meant more work was required. There was no alternative explanation worth considering. As years passed, Kobe's methods quietly influenced others. Younger players watched. Some tried to imitate. Few sustained it. What looked inspirational from the outside proved exhausting in practice. Kobe never encouraged imitation. He never promised balance. What he offered instead was clarity. Excellence demanded isolation. Mastery demanded repetition. And greatness demanded a willingness to be misunderstood for long periods of time. The cost was visible in moments of solitude. Empty gyms, long flights, silent recovery rooms. Kobe accepted them as part of the equation. The path he chose had no shortcuts and no spectators. This was no longer about one night in Los Angeles. It had become a way of living, a philosophy reinforced daily, regardless of outcome, and it was reshaping how the league viewed preparation itself. Years later, Kobe Bryant would speak about preparation with a calm certainty, not as motivation but as explanation. What others called obsession, he called alignment. Every action pointed toward a single goal. Eliminate hesitation before it appeared. The night he refused to leave the gym remained invisible to most. No footage, no witnesses. Yet its impact echoed through championships, rivalries, and moments of quiet resilience. It was the foundation few saw but everyone felt. As his career progressed, the league changed around him. New stars emerged, styles evolved, rules shifted. Kobe adapted without abandoning his core belief. When talent fades, preparation remains. Long after the final buzzer of his career, stories surfaced. Teammates recalling early arrivals. Opponents recounting mental battles. Coaches describing an intensity that redefined professionalism. Each story traced back to the same principle. Greatness, Kobe believed, was not built in public moments. It was forged in silence, when excuses felt reasonable and discipline felt optional. That was where decisions truly mattered. The night he stayed was not heroic. It was necessary. Necessary to preserve belief. Necessary to defend identity. necessary to become who he refused to stop becoming. Kobe Bryant did not change his career with a speech, a trophy, or a highlight. He changed it with a decision no one saw. To stay when leaving would have been easier. And in that quiet refusal, a legacy was sealed.